cost effectively. That is simple as it gets. It keep the light on. Now, in so doing, with a country that has a growing demand, we came into government is around 100 or 106 megawatts of demand in 2020 when we came into government. Now, as reported by the CEO of GPL, the peak has reached 205 megawatts, which is double in just a few years, and is expected to go about 250 megawatts and above in 2025. Now, the speed of the demand of power puts pressure on a company that has not raised the rates for electricity in the past 4.5 years under our government, has not raised it, but saw an additional amount of customers on the system. I was told by the team from GPL that right now on the Demerara Barbies integrated system, what they call the DVIS, accommodates 230,000 customers. I can tell you, and I can report to you, only last year at the Ministry of Public Works, before GPL is to attach power to a building or a house or any facility, they must receive a certificate from the Inspectorate Division of the Ministry of Public Works. And last year, we have issued 13,974 certificates. That tells you that 13,974 people would have been requesting power from GPL to be terminated at their office, their building, their store, their house, whatever they have. That tells you about the growth in the country. In housing, in the oil and gas development, in other development, in new facilities, new condominiums and apartment buildings, hotels, expansion of different areas in the country. That is what is showing up on the demand side that GPL have to produce the power. That being said, since we came into government, we promised that we will deliver about 500 megawatts of power. 500 megawatts of power. 300 megawatts on the gas to energy project. We had 165 megawatts from the Amelia Farms project, and the rest would have been on fossil fuel. We have not gone contract with the last tender for the Amelia Falls. We will go out to tender for that sometime in the near future. But we are building the 300 megawatts power plant. We are also putting in 33 megawatts of solar power that will tie to the grid in Essequibo, in Linden, and in Douglas. 33 megawatts. This signing today is part of the design to improve the energy infrastructure. What it means is that the plant that is being constructed at Wales, the power have to move from Wales into the rest of the country. One part of that power will come from Wales over the Demerara River, the Garden of Eden, into the backlands, and it will terminate at a location behind Eccles. They call it Good for Wacting. I was there yesterday. I saw what the substations are being delivered to the people of Guyana, and I can tell you it is impressive. I put a post out on it yesterday, so number of horsemanship. It is impressive. The technology that is there, that is done by the current one of the awardees today, Kalapataru, has the best in class technology. It has Siemens Energy, it has ABB technology, it has Hitachi technology, and others. I saw the transformers on the ground. One of the transformers, 375 MVA transformers, weighing 241 tons. Just imagine you have to have that transported in the roads of Guyana and moved. Just think about the kind of industrialization you see here. That substation will receive bulk power So the bulk power that is being produced at Wales will be transmitted through these very transmission lines. Remember, we had one before. We had a contract to awarded to Calcutta before this here today that would have built about 86 kilometers of transmission line between 230 kVA or kV and 69 kV. So the 69 kV, 69,000 volts moving from Wales to Guyana, where we have a substation there. And the 230 kV is moving from Wales to behind Eccles, a location there, where there are two massive substations. To break down that power from 230,000 volts to 69,000 volts, and then it will be transmitted to Sophia. Part of it will go to Sophia, and there's a control center right next door, a main control center that is being constructed now by Power China to make sure that that power is dispatched across the country. Now herein lies the problem. How much power have to be evacuated to East Coast and the Barbados area? And how is that power is going to move from the main control center to the East Coast, East and West Coast borders? And right now, we do not have the transmission lines to accommodate the bulk power movement to communities, to new development, to new housing system, to new industrial parks, to new industrial zones. We don't have that capacity to move bulk power. These contracts that we are signing today is to accommodate the movement of that power from the central location towards East Coast, towards region 5 and region 6. And it will, till some, what is it, the last spot? Williamsburg? Number 53 in Barbados. So that is the infrastructure that we're putting in Guyana. We are building infrastructure, energy infrastructure for the future. A lot of us travel. When we travel, we will see the towers in other countries that are moving the bulk power. If you go to the developed world, you will see. You will see these we call these trees that carry the bulk power. That is why you find reliable electricity in some countries, and some countries don't have it. Our country, we have been moving mostly since the beginning of our republic, 69,000 volts. We have never was able at any point in our history to raise that, to create a transmission network that will stabilize the grid, moving bulk power at 230,000 volts. Here in this project and from the gas to energy project, that 230,000 volts transmission network is now built into the design of the energy infrastructure. That is why when we say we are building infrastructure for the future, this is what we're talking about. In this are so what you call the substations. Now I can point out, Mr. Nangala pointed out some of them already. Where's that? I want to make mention of the substations. The reason why I'm talking about the substations. In Enmore, there is a new housing system there. And in Enmore, they will have an industrial area where you will have things, all manner of industrialized kind of activity going on. And further up, you have people opening up malls and so on the East Coast. You have places in Mahaika that have massive real estate development and all these things. So in Enmore and LBI and all of those places on the East Coast, they have massive amounts of housing development is happening. When you add more load into an existing network that has reached its thermal limits, it means that the transformers will blow, all of the line hardware will start to fail, and you will get interrupted power supply in the community. So as you add more in a particular area, it puts pressure on the transmission lines. So we are building some substations in places like LBI, in Good Hope. We're building substations in Enmore, and then we are upgrading the Kingston substation as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So these things are being placed there, and we will be built there to accommodate the development that is ongoing in those areas. So I want everyone to understand when we sign this thing, these contracts with these massive investment that we're putting into the energy sector, and the reason for it and why we're doing it. Now, you could hear a lot of people talk about and criticize what we're doing, but they have not done it. They have not thought about it and they've not done it. And the proof of the pudding is always in eating. I was checking, acting president, I was checking. I use a couple of communities in this country to check GPL's reliability on delivering power. Eccles, Region 2, Region 3, on the West Bank. I was checked there. There's a couple of communities I checked there. There's one right at Oval there. Always used to get power outage. Sometime during last year, September time. I'm checking to see when last I see those on social media across you guys for power outage. I'm still looking since we got a new ship coming and so on. I think that there's a marked improvement in the delivery of power to people. There's not much power outage unless it's when we are moving utility lines for widening of road construction and the East Coast and the East Bank and so on. Or if you're doing major maintenance of substation and those kind. So I can tell you, and I think that when I don't see the Facebook warriors that are to harass you guys on social media, it's an indication that they didn't get back out in the community for a while. I guess since the power ship is the second power ship is there, and the grid have more energy supply of I think it's 269 megawatts now that we have of.
We have it all,
Right? 269 megawatts of operating assets generating power for the grid. And the demand is around 200 there, or 190 something, 200 there. Right? So it goes up and down, depends on the temperature in the day and what goes on. Because when the place is cool, horses will take off some of the appliances. If it's hot, everybody turn on every AC they have in the country, every AC they have in the house, and the demand goes up. Nevertheless, I want to say to the contractors that the timeline is 1 year. This tender was a very competitive one. The timeline is about delivery. 1 year. We'll be holding you to it. We'll be holding you to it. Right? I just want to say to you, I'm saying this publicly, that a lot of times we end up, working with competitive bidders who are awarded, and then when they're awarded the contract, the haste that is supposed to be in the project, you don't see it on the ground. You have to be behind contractors, working with them, trying to get them to get the work done. And I'm saying to you, these contracts that you're going to sign today have a timeline on it, and I'm asking you to deliver on the timeline. Our country has been dying to have this kind of investment and this kind of infrastructure. Now we are committing to it, and we want to see them get done. Every aspect of the energy project activity is going on. Some are completed, and I think that the substation will be completed in June, the control center will be completed in August. So all the moving parts is being completed to receive the power. So we want to make sure that when it comes, it is distributed to the country, and that is why we're doing this thing. Now, I want to say one thing more before I take my seat. You will find, and I found this, Mr. Chairman, Acting President, that those in the opposition that did not invest in anything on baseload capacity, did not invest anything on new feeders, because the contracts also have a lot of feeders, 69,000 volts feeders coming into communities. So when the bulk power is there, we got them, the feeder lines coming in as well. Number of, how many kilometers of feeder lines? 48 kilometers of feeder lines. So you have 155 kilometers of 230 volts transmission line. You have, this is 167.
Yeah, 69.
167 kilometers.
Yeah, 69.
Of six, yeah, so let me go back that. 155 kilometers of 230,000 volts transmission line going. You have 167 kilometers of the 69,000 volts transmission line. And you have 5 new substations and 1 upgrade to Kingston. So this is the kind of investment that we wanted many years ago. There are those in the opposition will tell you how they did a wonderful job, but they never invested in 1 single kilometer of feeder line. What they did is repair some of them, and the repair was very minimal. I've checked that because I hear those claim to try to rewrite history and rewrite the work that they've done when there were no evidence of it being done. And I've checked with the team. I asked them to go check. Tell me what they have done in 5 years when they were in government. And I looked and I looked and we scraped and we looked and we didn't find much. All I know is that they bought 1 Hyundai generating set to put it at a place on the East Coast. It was on Vermont or Canefield? Canefield. And it worked for 6 months and it damaged the crankshaft. And it was parked there. When I became into government in 2020 and we got a little funds and so we started to get it back to them. That is all I know of. And they put something in Baltic and some in a couple of megawatts in Baltic and Region 2, which is off the DBIs. That is not part of the Demerara Borbis integrated system. That is Region 2, that is Baltic. And they claim to do a wonderful job. Only Jesus Christ can appraise how good job they did. But yet, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. Under the leadership of the president, who committed this in the opening, in the speech in the beginning of the year, we are now making the president's commitment to the people, we are now bringing it into reality. Under the leadership of the Prime Minister, who is in charge of the energy sector, he has pushed us, he's asked us to get this thing done, and we are here today to make sure we start the process of awarding so that we can make this a reality. Because so when we promise something, we make a commitment to the people, we deliver. So Mr. Prime Minister and Acting President, I want to thank you for your leadership, sir, pushing us and the team so that we can bring this to fruition. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, and I will have my say. Good morning, good afternoon all. First of all, all protocols already established. I will follow, and permit me to congratulate Power China and Calpataru for arriving at this stage where we will be signing contracts with you. You know, we went through a competitive bidding process, a transparent process, and we've arrived at this stage where we will be signing the contracts today. Now, transmission, as you heard from the previous speakers, is the backbone of bringing the electricity, bringing the powers from where it is generated across huge or long distances to the homes. So there are 2 aspects when we talk about transmission. Don't let us leave out distribution. But this is just the transmission part that we do. Right? When we went to the electorate, we went to the manifesto in 2020. And we promised that once and for all we will fix this whole electricity problem in Guyana. And in fixing the problem, we had to make decisions that are short term and decisions that are medium and long term. We were criticized for many of the decisions. But you know what? Today in Guyana, we have adequate electricity, more than the demand, as you heard from the previous speakers. Right? And those short-term measures resulted in us being where we are today. The medium to long-term measures is still to come. So when we talk about the power barges, right, those were short-term measures to ensure we have reliable electricity. The gas to energy project you heard about with the first 300 megawatts will come on stream, right? And then you have gas to energy 2, another 300 megawatts. Those are the medium to long-term measures. And then you have the Amelia Falls project, right? So you see where we're going? And today we're talking about transmission. And transmission is the backbone. If you don't have a proper backbone, the whole system will not work. We're producing all this power, we have to evacuate it safely and in a stable manner and deliver it to where it is needed. This is a transformative project in the sense that we're not just repairing what is already there. We're building a brand new transmission system in terms of transmission technology. That is what we're doing for Guyana. This is a transformational project. Okay? And this is just part of our first 5 years of development that we have offered to the people of Guyana when we went to elections in 2025. Sorry, 2020 elections. I'm thinking ahead. We have to go to elections again in 2025. But what we're going to deliver here, as you heard, this project will start immediately from the sign of the contract, right? This is something that is starting, that will be starting in 2025, but it will be delivered in the next 5 years cycle of development. And the next 5 year cycle of development starts immediately after the elections in November 2025 in Guyana. President Ali and his government promised development to the people of Guyana. What we're doing here is delivering on that promise. And as we deliver on that promise, we already thinking and putting together the components that will be delivered in the next 5 years. So with a good modern transmission system, it means more communities will have not only reliable electricity, but stable electricity. You heard about the 17 or such unserved areas that in the first 5 years of development are now receiving electricity. Unserved and underserved communities in Guyana, many of them having electricity for the first time, right? And we're building several housing schemes. You know, we're building apartment complexes, we're building hospitals, new schools. All of them need electricity. And what we will be doing from all these transformative projects in the energy sector is providing the electricity in an adequate manner for all these projects and ensuring that it is stable through this modern transmission system that we're constructing. That is what we promise to the people, and that is what we will deliver to the people. And that is what we'll continue to deliver to the people 2025 into 2030. So, again, congratulations to the awardees of the contract who will be signing the contract today, Power China and Calpitaru. And I must commend the chairman and the CEO, acting and team leader and senior staff of EPL for bringing us this far. I mean, they had many hours of negotiation and talks to arrive at the final position where we all can witness the contract signing today. Thank you for your work, Minister Indar. You know, Minister Indar spent a lot of time out in the fields, right? He spent a lot of hours at night, you know, going through all the numbers, doing the numbers crunching, right? Before he bring it to myself and to His Excellency for the final approval. So I want to take this opportunity to commend and personally thank Minister Ildar for his work too. So ladies and gentlemen, we are at a point where there's some 585,000 Guyanese who live throughout the Demerara-Berbice interconnected system. That's what DBIS means. I know some of you who are DBIS, you wonder what it means, right? Demerara-Berbice interconnected system. And if you start from Perica, right down to Molson Creek, right? And you could do the math, check all the populations there. Everybody eventually will benefit from the work we're doing here, even though this segment of the work is just from East Demerara right through to East Berbice, right? Some, I would say 250, 300,000 will benefit from that work. But at the end of this transformative project, the entire Demerara-Berbice interconnected system will see benefits. Some 585,000 Guyanese who live in the whole Demerara-Berbice interconnected system. Now, this is just part of the energy transformation. What happens to the hinterland? Somebody will ask, what happened to the hinterland? We just here by the coast. We did, in our manifesto, promise that we will have an approach that will embrace gas, right? That will embrace hydro, that will embrace solar, and other forms of energy like wind and biomass. The interior of Guyana is benefiting from many solar projects that are designed to fit their communities. You have this community solar projects for communities, 300 and 500 people live in those communities. So you have the community solar project that provide electricity to the schools, the health center, the administrative office, the police station, and whatever law and resource center like the ICT hub that they have there. And then we have purchased household solar system that we've distributed to every household in the hinterland. Right? So they are also benefited. In the next cycle of development, 2025 to 2030, Amelia Falls will be more visible in the sense that it will now be a front burner project, and it is our intention to pursue it and complete it by 2030. So we'll have hydropower in a large measure, a utility scale hydropower project completed in the next development cycle. We already have hydro. Don't let nobody fool you. We have micro hydro, mini hydro. Maka is hydro. Kumu is hydro. So I don't want to go on and on, but I want to tell you and promise you, and I'm speaking to the people of Guyana, that you have a government that made promises to you and is delivering on those promises. And this is just the first 5 years of delivery on promises to the people of Guyana. The next 5 years of development of transformative projects that we'll be delivering on will come soon, 2025, 2030. Congratulations again to the two firms, Power China and Talpitaru, for reaching here. Let us sign the contract.
Yes?
Yes. Over to you.
Alfred.
Sir.
Yes. Alfred, come on. Yes, you got it. Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Right.
Yes, sir.